Hello, hello, and welcome back to For Book's Sake. I'm Heather Roberts.
I am Veronica Adams, and we are 1852 Media.
And we were gone last week. We took a break. We took a week
Yes,
break.
we did.
I was traveling on Friday, going to Romanticon book signing event
Yes.
in Connecticut, Trumbull, Connecticut. So it wasn't conducive to recording,
Yes, our recording
unfortunately.
schedule needed to, well, and I appreciated the pause, honestly, because we were dealing with the summer COVID spike here at our house. So, it was a
Yeah.
welcome break for us, too. Definitely.
So, yeah, I hope you all had a lovely break last week too, but
Yes.
we are back at it. And today, we haven't really seen a whole lot of controversial stuff this week.
Yeah, it's been very quiet in Romance Landia and publishing in general.
It has, which I'm not upset about. Like, let's
No,
just keep rolling. We
no,
have
we get
enough
enough
other
drama
things.
most of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have enough other drama. I feel like a lot of people's personal lives have had some random drama happening. I know
Like,
we
for
have.
real.
Veronica has. A few other people I
Yes.
talked to this week have had weird, random,
Yeah.
unexpected personal stuff pop up. So,
Yeah, just odd, I don't know, endings, surprises, all sorts of I don't
yeah.
know, personal drama in certain cases, but nothing bookish, which,
I,
great.
that's fine. We don't need
Great.
it to all pile on, right? We don't need to pile on.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
so yeah, I hope
So,
everyone's sorting their life out.
for real. How was Romanticon? I mean, what I
Yeah, it was
okay, you
good.
guys, you have to she took her son, her 18-year-old son went with her,
Yes.
and I am just so I don't know, the kids are different. I love this. I
It was
love
great.
this that your teenage son, I mean, he's an adult, but still a teenager, right?
Yeah.
Hanging out with the bookish babes. I love this. I mean, for him,
Yeah.
for reading and book lovers in general. I
It
mean,
was
tell us
great.
everything.
Okay, so yeah, I took my son. My son has been working with us in the business, learning
Mhm.
administrative
Yeah.
stuff,
Yes.
and he wanted to learn more, and he wanted to learn what it's like to go to a work event, essentially.
Mhm.
So I was like, "Come on, come with me. I have a hotel room. You too can come
Right.
and stay in it."
Yeah.
So that's what we did. And frankly, it was absolutely wonderful to have him, having an assistant, having somebody there with you.
Yeah.
So helpful. I mean, just from the simple stuff of getting all the crap up into the
Mhm.
room and then like getting it into the table, setting
Yeah.
up on time, being able to like get up and take a break and walk away from the table and having somebody there, right,
Yeah.
was really nice. So there was a lot of positives to having, him there with me. But also he's just an extremely personable person.
Right.
And he wants to learn how to talk to people, right? And he wants
Yeah.
to learn how to sell things. And we were selling merchandise in addition to talking about our
Mhm.
author services. So
Yeah.
we had book sleeves, we had blind dates with book box or not boxes. We did have boxes, but they were pre-order only.
Yeah.
We had blind dates with books. We had some keychains and bracelets, friendship bracelet style, little, I guess, elevated than straight up friendship bracelets. Um, and yeah, we had a few things that we were selling. So he had an opportunity to learn, when you go to these events, we had an actual table with our banner, all that
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have to talk to people. You have to greet people. You
Yes.
can't just, he saw the difference between those that were just sitting behind their tables
Mhm.
and letting people walk by and not saying a word. And when you engaged people,
Yeah.
and said hello, because even if they didn't want to purchase anything from us, which was totally fine, right? Like, not trying to force a sale.
Yeah.
But we have something for everybody. So there was an opportunity, we had so many people who were like, oh, let me just sign up for your newsletter. Let me sign up. I'm an influencer. Let me sign up for your promoter newsletter.
Yeah.
And all of that. So, or at the very least, we got to put our name into their ears.
Yes.
And now they've heard of us and they
Right.
know who we are. So that was the, basic takeaway. So he really had the opportunity to see that. He then started getting very good at engaging people. He was out there trying to direct people into our room because they
Yeah.
put the vendors in a different room. Um, so he was out there, trying to direct people from the signing into the vendor room. and had no shame in doing so, which was wonderful.
Love
And
that.
that's really, you have to have no shame when you go to these things. You
Mhm.
know, you have to be there and be ready to be on
Yeah.
and be ready to talk to people.
No, this is a
And
really good lesson for anybody who's attending as someone who's going to be at a table, whether you're a vendor, a sponsor, a promoter,
yeah,
an author. I mean, this is really good. And I'm not surprised to hear this, knowing
yeah,
your son, right? Like
right.
this sounds, he like a
Par for the course.
duck to water, right? Like he was
Yeah,
born for this. But what I love the most is the fact that like he's into it from the book side too. Like you guys
yeah,
got up at close to the end of the event, as I understand it, and like or at some point found some time to walk around and meet the authors and buy some
yeah.
books and just be readers for a little while.
Well, so when we got there on Friday,
Yeah.
we did have a meeting that an author had wanted to speak with us when we
Yeah.
got there. So we got settled in our room. We ate some food because we were pretty hangry, and then I reached out to the author and we met up with her. And then after that, we were pretty free for the evening, right?
Yeah.
So we went and walked around the book signing event. They had on Friday night. It was free.
Mhm.
You didn't have to purchase a ticket, and they had what they called a mini book signing.
Yeah.
And some of the authors were authors that were there as that were coming to the signing the next day as readers. And then they were invited to do this like mini book signing event the night
Sure.
before. Some were authors that were signing the next day as well. So it was like a mix that, not everybody
Yeah.
was signing the next day. Some people were, whatever. And it was actually like a full-fledged book signing event. So this like what was supposed to be just this like little mini signing, there was a lot of people there.
Yeah.
A ton of people came to this. And people were selling out. There was some authors that were like, I did not plan for Friday night to be as, insane as it was. So they had a lot less books for Saturday.
Isn't that something?
Um, yeah, so Jesse and I walked around. We purchased some books.
Mhm.
He purchased a book that he wanted, and he was already halfway through it by the next day. I think he stayed up till like 3 o'clock in the
It's a
morning
chip off the
reading.
old block.
I know. He's now like full. He's always been a reader,
Mhm.
but life gets in the way. He's a teenager. He has
Sure.
other things going on.
Sure.
But in the past week, he's read, I think, 4 books, which is, he's just, he was constantly reading. Like, so we
You better
were,
get it in now before the syllabuses start dropping later this
yeah,
month, and he's reading for academics rather than pleasure. Woof.
right. Well, and he has a job right now that allows for reading. He can't be on his phone though, so he needs an actual paperback or,
Yeah.
he needs a
So, like, when
physical
things are
book.
slow, he's allowed to pick up a book and fill some
Yes.
time.
He just can't use electronic devices.
Right.
So he was asking me what paperbacks I had, which, come on, have a couple.
Just a few.
And yeah, so we went through some, and he pulled some from there. And so now he's going through some of my paperback stash, which is great.
Nice.
But it was just so funny because first he read the book that he picked out.
Yeah.
Then he read the book that I picked out, which frankly, I don't even know where it is right now because he hasn't given it back to me. Then he was like, I need to read book 2 because I need to know what happens with the brother. I need to make sure he redeems himself. And I'm like, oh my God. And then I was like, okay, fine. So we bought it on Kindle.
Mhm.
He flew through that one. And then he's like, do you have any more of this author's books? And I was like, yeah, I do. And I was actually really annoyed with myself because I actually have a whole bunch of her paperbacks. She
Yeah.
was at the signing. And I did not think to, I was so focused on everything else.
Girl,
I
you
did
missed a
not think,
golden opportunity to get some autographed paperbacks. What?
I did. I didn't think about it. I was so focused
On
on,
repping 1852, you
yeah,
forgot to put on your reader hat before you
I
left.
did. So don't ever make that mistake. If you know an
Oh,
author is going to be there and you have a bunch of their paperbacks, please make sure to bring them. I felt so dumb. Anyway, I found her paperbacks, and so Jesse's going. He's reading through them now. It's
love
just
that for
making.
him.
I love
So he
it.
got a little bit of a business acumen and also apparently is now fans of a new romance author too. New to him
Yeah,
romance
new
author.
to him. New to him. She's been writing for a couple decades, but
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very
um,
established brand, but yes.
yes. But yeah, no. So I mean, the signing as a whole,
Mm.
I have like it was run so well. It was one of the, which is
There's a
why
reason
like,
it's a repeat event.
yeah, this is why I like Romanticon. Katie Berry runs it, and she has a team,
Yeah.
and the team, they just run it so well.
Yeah.
And they've expanded a few things every single year. They're not doing these massive big jumps,
Mhm.
but they're expanding things up. The line was absolutely insane on Saturday morning. The signing started at noon. People were in line before 9 a.m.
That is insane.
Yeah, like just sitting, waiting in line. Because they saw this and they realized that by the time, like, if we start registering people at noon, right? Like, we start
Mhm.
checking people's like badges to get in by
Yeah.
noon, that's going to be too much. So they started pre-registering people before that, going through the line, making sure
Yeah.
everybody had like that they were all checked in beforehand, and it ran so smoothly. It wasn't too insane, wasn't too packed,
Yeah.
wasn't, I don't know if anybody, I've not heard anybody that had a complaint. I had a situation where I needed a tablecloth, because the
Yeah.
tablecloth so I brought my own table because I wanted a long table and not a round table.
Right.
And that's what they were offering the vendors in the vendor room. So I brought my own table and I brought a tablecloth. However, I grabbed the wrong one, and I grabbed one for a round
Oh
table, not a square table.
no.
Yeah, I know. Dumb Heather. When you're doing these things happen, right? Like, authors, you make these things happen.
Yep.
So I went to the organizer and I was like, oh my God, like, this was at 8 o'clock in the morning on Saturday morning. And she's like, yeah, no problem. Take this one, like, and we'll get a new one and it's fine. And, resolved it in 2 seconds. It was
Yeah.
not a big deal. Absolutely. It was absolutely
Contingency,
lovely.
preparation for hiccups, like,
Yeah. They were totally prepped.
backups for backups. Like
Yeah.
you can tell when an event is well organized.
Yeah. And it wasn't any sort of like, oh my God, like hemming and hawing, or
Right.
even, or making me wait for a long time,
Right.
and it was resolved immediately. It was great.
That's
So,
awesome.
and it was my fault. It wasn't their fault.
Right.
So,
Right.
it's not something they did that
Well, I
they
mean,
could have even anticipated.
that's a testament to how well organized it is because they're
Yeah.
prepared. Their preparation is so thorough that like this contingency, which isn't even theirs to fix, right,
Right.
is operational in a matter of minutes for you in a
Yeah.
situation you sort of created for yourself.
I
Like, I
did.
mean,
Yeah.
holy shit, how well run is Romanticon?
It
Obviously,
really,
very well.
very well run.
Yeah.
Truly one of the best well run, like smaller mid
Yeah.
events. I wouldn't call it a small event anymore. It's definitely
No,
more
but
mid size.
it's not convention center 5 day like
No,
book bonanza a polycon size either.
no.
So, um, yeah.
They had panels on Friday. So they
Yes.
had reader
Mhm.
panels. And then they had this, they had a reader luncheon with some authors. And then they had this mini signing event on Friday night.
Yeah.
So that was like the extra day that they put on
Mhm.
for the event. But they didn't have, there was no ball, there was no like, after party thing or whatever. Everybody just sort of did their own thing afterwards. But that's
No random
honestly
hotel guests assaulting people on the dance floor.
right. But
Yeah.
that was fine. Everybody had their own thing to do. It's not
Mhm.
like, and if you didn't have anything to do, you could go down to the lobby where literally everybody was hanging out,
Yes.
and people were playing card games. People were
Yes.
just like chatting with one another. Like,
Some of my
yeah.
favorite event activities are just, like, hanging out at the bar in the hotel, right?
Hmm.
Like, have a glass of wine, chat with everybody, just, like, hang out, when the actual
Yeah.
event is over or between events or whatever. Sometimes you just
Yeah.
have the best time just being kind of casual and friendly and socializing a little bit, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
so
yeah, and it was fun. And the authors were down there doing and hanging out too. So
Mhm.
it was just a really chill,
Love it.
wonderful event. I
Love
will
it.
say there was about, let's see, like 100, over 100 authors signing on Saturday.
Yeah.
And then I think they had they sold about 500 tickets, which I think is pretty accurate
Yeah.
for how many people were there. So yeah, like we're not talking about 1,000, like less than 1,000-person event. By the time you have assistants and all that sort of stuff in there, right? But that's frankly great. Like it was great. It was wonderful.
Well, it's one of those things where it's not too crazy, right? There's still a really, really good representation among the signing authors,
Yeah.
obviously. How many vendors were in the vendor room with you?
20 maybe? I'm trying to think.
That's
Hold
pretty
on.
good.
One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Maybe
She's
maybe
literally
15.
counting the map in her head right now.
Yeah. Maybe 15, something like that. Like it was
Still,
a decent amount. Like it
still good.
wasn't, yeah. And we were in between, everybody sold something pretty different
Yeah.
too. We were in between a lovely lady that sold jewelry, and honestly, it was terrible for Jesse because he like wanted everything from her table.
He's
He
so
was
funny.
like, we got there and he like went over, he's like, let me go see what she's selling, right? So he goes over there and he's like, oh my God, I need this. And then he's like looking at other stuff. And I was like, all right, you get like one, right? Like
Yeah.
we haven't
Yeah.
even like started.
Right.
But he ended up with 3 necklaces. So that's how that went. But
What do the
my
kids
child,
say?
he likes to be dripped out. That's the phrasing these
Yes.
days. He
He
likes to be dripped out.
does. He
But
does.
they were really unique pieces that he
Mhm.
had not really seen before. So
Yeah.
and he's wearing them. So
I learned my lesson when I sent him earrings after he got his ears pierced, and he didn't really care for them. I was like, fine, I'm just gonna get him gift cards forever because,
yeah,
like, apparently I don't know what's drippy. I don't know
I don't
how to
either.
like.
I don't
I also
either.
have no riz, so like, it's fine. It's fine.
Same,
I'm just not
same.
cool. I'm a
I would
middle aged.
never have
I'm a
picked out the
middle aged
things.
lady.
Yeah, the things that he picked out, I would not have picked out for him.
Yeah.
So I have
Right.
no concept of
Right.
what the style is.
Yeah.
Very cool pieces he picked out. I just would
Sure.
not have picked them out.
Right.
I would not have been like, oh yeah, that's for him because
Yes.
he's so eclectic. He likes
Mhm.
so many different things.
I think that's
Um,
sort of a hallmark of their generation, though, is that they're all so comfortable expressing themselves that, like, there
yeah,
really isn't a specific rule about what is cool. It's like, this is who I am, and this is what I like, and this is how I'm expressing myself. And they're just totally relaxed about it. Like,
yeah,
there's no pressure to conform, at least not with
yeah.
aesthetic.
Yeah, with aesthetic for sure. No.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was really cool. He was all about, he wanted, we matched on Saturday, which was cute
Oh my
too.
God,
Like,
you guys are the cutest.
yeah. So he was wearing like a white button down and black
I
pants. I had a black and white shirt on
love
and a
it.
black skirt. Yeah, it was
I love
great.
it.
It was very cute. And we had another hiccup that was not at all like romanticon related. But so we drove there. It's
Yeah.
about
Well, you're not that
driving.
far. I mean,
Yeah.
regionally, you are
Yeah.
relatively close to Romanticon, so
So driving there took about 5 hours with traffic.
okay.
Okay. We get there.
Damn, really?
Yeah, with traffic. Yeah. Driving home, it took me about 4 hours and 20 minutes.
Gosh. I would have
It's
thought it would have
because
been a much shorter drive. But I
it's
guess
because we're
I
so
don't
far
account for
in.
like population density in New England too, because it's like a
Yeah.
small area with lots of people.
We're so far north in Vermont too that we have
Yeah.
to travel all the way across Vermont to be able to get to
Oh, that's
Massachusetts
true.
and
You
Connecticut.
guys might as
So
well be Canadian at this point.
basically, I mean, well, anyway, um,
That's for another podcast.
that's for another podcast. But so we get there, we park, like we unload everything, we go and
Yep.
we park the truck,
Right.
and we go in, that evening or whatever. We go to the signing on Friday night. And then
Yeah.
Jesse's like, I really am craving like, some Asian food. And I was like, all right, bro. Let's look and see what's close by because let's be honest, in Vermont, we don't have a ton of amazing options. We have some Asian food restaurants, but
Yeah.
oftentimes when we leave Vermont, we get access to better things
Sure.
food wise.
Sure.
For Asian food specifically. So I
Oh,
found this one place, Sushi 2020 is what it's called. Big shout out to that restaurant because it's so good. If you're ever near Trumbull, Connecticut, oh my God. So we go to
yeah.
go. And the battery is dead.
Stop.
Dead.
Stop.
And so I'm like, oh, sweet mother of Lord. So I have to call. Well, we have roadside assistance. So
Yeah.
I use with our insurance company. So I use that to get somebody to come out and jump us.
Yes.
Then I have to call AutoZone and make sure that they have our battery in stock.
Yep.
Let them know that we're on the way. Can they change it for us? They say yes. Great. So we have to do that. It's a whole 2-hour extravaganza to get our battery changed.
Yeah.
Which the battery was 5 years old.
Right.
And it had a good, strong showing, and then it just decided to die.
Listen, that happens. They are not meant to last forever.
I wish there was some type
5
of
years on one
warning
is
beforehand, but
sure. That's pretty good though. 5 years out of one.
Yeah. So then we had to go do that. And then after that was done, Jesse was like, can we still go to Sushi 2020?
This kid needs some noodles and some sushi.
I
Like,
know.
feed him, Mom.
So we did. We ended up going. I was paranoid the whole time because obviously I now had an experience where we're 5 hours away from my house and I had a vehicle that wasn't functioning. So I was like mentally freaking out a little bit, but it was, it was just the battery. So, hilariously or not hilariously, we literally 2 days before we left, put brand new tires on the truck because we didn't want to drive we knew our tires needed to be changed. And we didn't want to drive that far with older tires.
For
so
sure.
We literally had just put brand new tires on the truck. And then, so now we have new tires and a new battery.
Hey.
It's just crazy.
You ready for a cross-country road trip now?
So that was, we were expecting, like, that was the first bad thing, you know what I mean? Like bad things, personal life. At least it's not business related, right? Like everything business related, I felt went really, really well. And I feel like other authors felt the same at the event.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's always something, right? It's always something.
Listen, this is part of the excitement of travel, right? It's the what's going to happen that's completely out of my control because it will be something.
Oh yeah,
it will be something.
But
yeah, no, it sounds like it was really worth your while though.
Yeah.
And also I just love Jay being involved. Like, it just tickles me.
Well, he's super into it now. Now he's helping me with some more stuff, business-wise. And him reading, the books, he's read romance books before. I am not a parent that ever limited his reading. Yeah. If he wanted to read it, it was pretty much open season on reading.
Yeah.
I'm just happy you're reading books. And for us, at least, when he started reading the taboo books, right? Like books that are spicy is what I'll label taboo.
So books with sex in them.
Books with sex
or language.
Or language.
Or both.
He read several of those and then like sort of, the novelty wore off. Sure. And he suddenly wanted something that was more like he started asking for books that were more age appropriate.
Yeah. Well, if you demystify the forbidden, a lot of times they realize they're not really interested in it. Sounds like you guys did exactly what you should have done and just like, here you go. This is what it's like. See, if you enjoy it, fine. But also, apparently it just wasn't for him at that point. Like
he got bored of it very quickly. Of the and they were contemporary romances with sex in them, and he it was very titillating, and then suddenly he got bored of it.
Number one complaint of authors about writing is you run out of ways to describe sex and body parts and things that happen in intimate situations and settings. And to hear that your teenage son also sort of felt like maybe it was just a little too pedestrian after a while and he was ready for something different.
It's just so funny. Yeah. So he was like 12, 13 in that age range, somewhere around there.
Wow. At like 13.
Yeah. Oh. Well, and then he started wanting more like YA style books. So there was still,
things written for him.
Yeah. But now that he's older, he's trying, he's back, he's reading. I think this is his first time reading romance novels now that he's like an actual adult.
Yeah.
and he's like loving it now because now he can appreciate the plot lines and this story. He was reading one book, and he in the drive home, which bless him, I used to be able to read in cars too, and I wish I still could.
I have never in my entire life been able to read on a moving. I can't even read on a plane.
Yeah, it makes me so nauseous now.
Yeah.
I can't. Even reading my phone, like I can't.
No.
So he's reading a whole ass book, okay?
Good for him.
All the way home. And he's like, had to put it down. He's like, I'm getting so emotional. Why am I so emotional?
And I was like, books are designed to do, Jay.
Yeah.
They are an emotional experience.
He's like,
we live in a world that forces you to suppress your emotions, and reading romance is one of the best ways to just sort of lean into those feelings you have that you're not allowed to give into and express in your daily life. Come jump in the pool. The water is great.
I know. It was just so cool to watch it happen in real time.
I love this for him.
And he's like, I just relate to these people. He's like, I know he's going to make the wrong decision. I know he's going to, yeah.
Device.
It's so funny. So great. And he's just like, why am I getting so emotional? He's like, this is so, he's like, oh, and so he puts the book down. And then like 3 minutes later, he grabs it back again. He's like, I need to know. He's like, I left them at a bad scene. I need to know what happened.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, that is the mark of a very good writer, when they can grab you like that and, pull those emotions from you.
Yeah.
So it's really cool that he's back into, those reading that and having that experience. And he's told me multiple times this week, like how much he's missed, like he didn't realize how much he missed reading until he's, been reading again. And it just, it opens your mind, it opens your world and allows you to experience other emotions, other feelings, other worlds than you.
It can be really great for your creativity, your interpersonal ability to relate to others. Like it's just so good for you mentally and spiritually, even. Good for him. And I love the fact that he's allowing himself to read a genre that maybe his contemporaries would not necessarily have a lot of interest in.
Right. Well, I feel like if anything, he's going to be the proponent of, getting romance books in front of, especially male younger readers.
For sure.
Because he's not abashed to say that he read something, he'll be like, yo, this was a good book. Like, you need to go read this. Like, so I think it's great. And it's allowing him to pick up something. I think it was just really fun to see in real time that sort of like, because we read so much now that it's just second nature, commonplace. To see like a person who picks up reading again, just experience the joy of reading again.
Yeah.
It reminded me like why I love what I do so much.
For sure. For sure.
It's just a really nice reminder. So.
Oh my God, what a wonderful weekend you guys had though. Like,
yeah, we really did.
Mother-son bonding time, business development time. Like he's learning and growing. You are hustling and, taking care of 1852 like you always do. And then you guys are having like this little, I don't know, interpersonal mother-son, like.
Well, that was one of the reasons. Yeah.
So nice, right?
Yeah.
Like family time plus business time. I mean,
it was great. He and his dad spend a lot more, like, I don't want to say a lot more time together, but they spend more like solid time together than he and I do.
Yeah.
Because they like the same kind of shows. They, like they'll sit and watch shows together. And
there's a lot more intersectionality. There's a crossover between their personal interests. Yeah.
So Jess and I usually do like creative things together and stuff like that. But he and I haven't had like a whole weekend where it was just him and me in a long time. So it was really cool to get to spend that time together, especially because he's going away to college here shortly. And it was fun. But and then we watched, we came home and we ended up watching a movie the other night together as a family, which is really nice. We watched The Big Lebowski.
Fun.
So we had a lot of great family time recently. He had never seen it. And
I'm honestly, I'm going to say this, unpopular opinion, not a big fan. One of my husband's favorite movies of all time.
It's a cult classic.
It is. It is.
And Jesse wanted us to explain it to him. He's like, what's it about? And I was like, I couldn't explain it if I tried.
You sort of have to watch it. It's an experience.
It's one of those things. It is an experience.
Yeah.
And so now he understands it a lot more. And I remember after that movie came out, everything was fucking A. Yeah. Fucking A. Fucking
God, how long was that part of the lexicon, right? Like,
so long. And I totally forgot about it until we watched it again. And I was like, that is where that came from. Fucking A. So funny. Oh, the dude.
Yeah.
But we had some really good family time.
It's a beverage here, man.
Yeah. So much.
My husband drank White Russians for a really long time because of that movie.
Oh, no. I was not influenced to have one of those.
Oh, well. He's a dude, though, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, great weekend. And if you go to one of these weekends, it is what you make of it. It's what you make of it. So that's my thing. Like, that's why I'm telling the stories about, like, we didn't have a perfect weekend, There were definitely things that were not, planned for.
Right.
There were hiccups, but it was a great weekend overall. And we really had a good time and got to talk to a lot of great people.
Love that.
Loved chatting with authors and influencers and readers and all of that. So
for sure.
I think next time we had a suggestion that we break down foreign rights.
Yeah, someone suggested we put our lawyer hats back on and okay, fine.
Yeah. Pull my arm. So I think next time we talk about, unless something crazy happens, we'll talk about that too, which is possible. Yeah. But we'll talk about foreign rights and what it looks like and how you can position yourself to get there.
Awesome. So. That sounds like a great chat. I will look forward to that.
Me too.
And thank you, Suggester, for the suggestion.
Yes. Thank you. I was like, I didn't mean to press the button.